6 acres. Yeah. We had a house there. We tore it.
It looks like we are ready to go. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mike. Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, April 27th, 2026 Cumberland Town Council Finance Budget Workshop. I am Bailey Douglas, your finance chair. This is a pretty loose agenda for today. We're going to start with a overview / summary of the budget for all of the things we reviewed the last 4 or 5 weeks, and then we'll kind of open the floor for conversation or any questions or things we want to see adjusted prior to our vote. So Helene, I will kick it to you.
Okay, I will start with just discussing quickly. When we came into this budget, we increased our revenue budget by $589,000 over the prior year. That's a 6.9% increase. Those adjustments were increasing our state revenue share based on the state's calculation, slightly increasing our rescue billing by about $20,000, increasing our pay-as-you-go trash bags by $45,000. Our Valhalla golf course looked at their programs and increased their revenues by $84,000. And the recreation department also reviewed their revenues and increased over the prior year by $114,000. But on the opposing side, we also increased our expenditures by $778,000, or 4.9%. those factors included the 4% COLA increase that we did across the board. We did a 14.5% increase on our health insurance, a 4% increase for dental, 8% on our long-term care, and 5% on our vision. For public safety, we converted a deputy fire position to a full-time firefighter position and did a half a FTE for our fire department that is funded 60% from the general fund and 40% from the TIF fund. We also saw a 6% increase on our county dispatch service. We also included in the expense budget one full-time public works position and one full-time parks position. And in the waste disposal department, we added another $58,000 due to the higher trash volumes and the rising in our tipping fees. Between the revenues and the expenses, we saw a 3% increase overall to the FY27 budget over 26. During our meetings, we also adjusted the budget that had a neutral effect to it. We increased it for adding enterprise licenses for PD and the finance department, removing the Civic Plus budget line that we had for in IT, removing a FleetSoft budget that we had in our IT budget as well, and reducing the copper lines in the fire department, which was about pretty significant, $7,300, removing the floor finishing because they realized they did it the year before for $3,800. I did not remove the PFML from health services. I took a closer look into that and determined that everyone is anyone who receives pay for labor services is eligible. Has to pay into PFML.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they're eligible for PFML, but they have to pay into it. But then I had to increase their workers' comp insurance due to the audit. If you remember, I shared that with you. We had to increase that by $14,500, and then we decreased the health insurance from 15% that we originally had budgeted to 14.5%. Just to also give you an update, we are looking into the workers' comp. We did get some information from the for the program, and I did share that with you. So that'll be something we'll see during the year. Okay. And if we're able to get to Tier 1, we'll be able to start seeing that it would start in January. So that would be something that would happen halfway through the fiscal year. And we also have Fidium reviewing our internet for us. And we also have our IT consultant was able to find some significant savings by moving some of our copper line fax machines to an internet base, and it's actually going to be very bring us to the 21st century, as you will, where we'll be actually receiving the faxes through email, and we'd be able to send them out through email instead of having that traditional fax machine sitting on top of a table. Okay. So he's working on that as well. He hasn't finalized that for us, so I haven't been able to provide you what that savings cost would be. Okay. But we are working on that, so we'll be able to see some savings through the year.
Okay. And do you think we'd find that out before the May 11th meeting? Anything about Fidium or any cost savings, or do we think they'll be a little bit later?
It might be a little bit later. As soon as I can get some final numbers, I'll bring that forward to the town manager to discuss with the council, or okay. At least let the council know, or we can have. I'm not sure if we'll be able to have those numbers before the May 11th meeting.
Okay. I guess then my other question for you is the total increase is showing as what right now for across the budget, 3%, or what was the number? Yes,
it's still 3% because the overall adjustments that we did through our budget process was $166 dollars minus the $18 that I just mentioned.
Okay. What?
I just
What?
think it's funny that we went through all this and we up and down and $116 change in a
Wow.
however many $1 million budget.
Yeah. It's,
So,
what a time. Do we know where the school's at right now? What's the percentage? Do we know?
I haven't kept up with that. I
Okay.
apologize. Was it at 6.2%? They've got it at 5.6,
Okay.
and some of that is debt service.
So for those at home, it's at 5.6 right now for the school, and that includes or doesn't include debt service.
It's 5.46.
5.46, including debt services. Okay. Go ahead, Bob Vale.
I think I've missed a lot. Is there a paper copy of what you just read off there? Can I get a paper copy of that?
All I did was review what the town manager provided in his transmittal letter. I just re-reviewed that.
I think everybody got that letter.
It's in the front of your binder.
The transmittal letter is right here, this first letter.
What's
Page
the date
5.
on that?
it's the Helene review was in the binder, but then there was also a note that I don't know if it was Helene, you or Matt sent out where it went through and the ups,
Yeah, I
we
went
added
through,
this,
I
we
went
took
through
away
the
this,
last
and it
Q&A.
balanced out.
I also went through the last Q&A that showed all of the savings, what adjustments we made through the process.
All right, I'll let you get that pulled up. Are you looking for, like an actual, would it be helpful for me to recirculate the Q&A at the end?
She was reading from a piece of paper, and
So it's
I
at the,
could not follow along,
gotcha.
and so I would like to have something so I can physically see what was said.
So we've got in our email on the 9th, Helene sent out a Q&A from the 6th, the meeting from the 6th, and that goes through and has the net change of $166 for what we added and what we took away.
Q&A right there, yeah.
Yeah.
On the 6th or the 9th?
She sent it on the 9th, but the meeting was on the 6th.
Right.
And that,
Q&A from the 26th.
I don't know what date it was. So the meeting was on the 6th and she emailed it on the 9th.
Right, so that was what you just read.
Yeah, so it's like the summary right there.
And then I also,
And that's $166 we're talking about.
Yeah. But I think, yes, you say $166, but there were some cost savings that were just counteracted by some other adjustments that needed to be made.
Yeah.
Like the $18 that we have to pay, or, things like that. Do we think the Fidium, do we anticipate that to be some sort of cost savings, or is that kind of, we're thinking that's going to be a wash?
it's so hard to tell because it's just, they're a completely different company, so I don't know
Yeah.
how they're going to approach it.
Okay. All right. Did anybody have any other questions or thoughts or comments on the budget overall? Does everyone just feel good about it? Concerns? I feel like you have something to say, Bob. Let's hear it.
I think we did well. There will always be that percentage of people that have
Do
difficulty
you mind
paying.
speaking into your mic?
I think we did well.
Yeah.
I think we'll always have that percentage of folks who struggle with their taxes regardless.
Yeah.
And we've made a good faith effort. I think the expectation is, if you look at we've said this before, any 10-year period of time, you can anticipate a 30% cost increase in taxes and in wages. It's just inflationary. Everybody gets a raise, people spend more money, groceries go up, cost of living goes up. I think when you see an outlier, which is this is not an outlier, but you know, if you see a 10% spike, you know, then you have to really ask yourself, what are we doing? What's that? Are we funding something that we have never funded before, and will it drop the following year, or is it? But I think if we look at our past few years, we've held it close to that 3%, and I think it's a responsible budget. I think the town managerial staff has done a good job of presenting a balanced budget for the citizens of the community.
Okay. Where do you think we're at as far as the timeline for like potential county consolidation for like the fire department? Do you feel like that conversation?
We have a meeting on I believe it's May 6th, with Freeport, Yarmouth, North Yarmouth, Falmouth. I expect that to be a substantive meeting. There's a memorandum of understanding being presented. There's a ask that nothing be taken off the table. I think one of the things that will come out of this meeting is to ask the leadership of the schools to attend the next meeting, because it's we can't do this alone. It has to be a collaborative approach, and that has to include the schools. So I don't know if I could answer if there's a timeline about consolidation of fire, police, rescue, or public works, but it's all those topics are on the table for discussion, and I'm hoping that people will bring an open mind, and I'm hoping that the town managers walk away with our next meeting with some expectations.
Okay. I just wonder if like there's ever a realistic expectation as far as timing, like when could there be potential impacts like of cost shift? Like are we 2 years away? Are we a year away? Are we like, what would be a goal that we're looking to achieve that we might be able to like plan on? Or do we not feel like we're there? We're still in the conceptualization phase.
I think that's a hard question. I don't think there's an answer that I can give you tonight. You know, if I was driving the boat, I would say let's have a 6-month benchmark. Let's have a
Can you
12-month
ask that
benchmark,
question?
An 18-month benchmark.
Could we ask that question at the next meeting? Like, what is the benchmark? Like, can
Yes,
we? Because I feel like we've had this very circular conversation. So, like, what's like, let's make something happen. Yeah. Right. Okay.
I think that's fair.
Okay. Any other questions as it relates to the budget right now? Michael.
Bailey, your first question you asked, what our thoughts were.
Yeah.
I'll take the word right away from Bob. I think this is a very responsible budget. I have no problem talking to any taxpayer in Cumberland and saying, you know, we held the line at 3%. There's no fat in this budget, so kudos to everybody, especially the town staff.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew?
I've got nothing else. I mean,
Got nothing else?
No.
I'll just kind of close out with basically, you know, I think a lot of hard work's gone into this by everyone in the town staff and, you know, all of you folks and some citizens have brought some good comments forward, and I don't really see anything that's excessive or anything that necessarily needs to be removed at this point in time, and I think, you know, hopefully citizens are pleased with where we're at. I think it's a real responsible number.
Yeah. Any comments from the public? Let's go, Shirley. Shirley, the woman of the people.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say. Thank you, Bailey. Shirley Story King, East Cumberland. I want to thank you. I know I was part of the group, Cumberland North Yarmouth Taxpayer Advisory, that came at the beginning of the process and asked you to consider keeping it at 3%, which is the cost of living. And without micromanaging anything from our end, you were able to achieve that. And so I thank you. I'm very proud of the work you do. Not that I had any part in it, but I think it's the town council legacy of going through the budget line by line and really working it. And I appreciate your time and effort, because through my other work, volunteering in the community, it doesn't happen everywhere. It really doesn't happen everywhere. So I'm grateful. I think the consolidation conversation is interesting. I hope that you do set some timelines and some goals, some measurable goals. And it was interesting to hear, Bob, you mentioned the getting the schools involved, and I know you remember the I-95 consortium. Maybe it's time to bring that back. It was a time when schools along I-95 did a lot of things together to reduce costs and to be more efficient. Next year is going to be challenging. We keep hearing that over and over again. So I encourage you to listen to Councillor Mahalik and get a real grip on where you stand with your assets, your town-owned assets. And just make sure you have a tight grip on your capital improvement budget moving forward. The school budget, it came in at 5.46%. We're still advocating. There's one more chance to get it down. I'm fearful that 5.46 won't pass a referendum in June, but if they could get it down in May, at the public meeting in May, to somewhere around 3.3%, that it has a possibility of passing. So we're continuing to lobby in that direction and hoping that maybe we can move the needle a little bit at the May 7th meeting, which is only next week. Okay. So again, thank you very much for the work that you're doing, and good luck with the challenges next year. Bailey, you're not even going to be here.
I'll be in retirement for a short period of time.
For us. But hopefully you'll attend some of those.
I'll be back.
All right. Thank you.
Bob, do you remember what the I-95 consortium is? The I-95? The thing Shirley referenced, what is that?
Were you talking about Baldacci's consolidation efforts?
No, it was something that was more organic. It was the superintendents in the school districts north of Portland that they would get together and decide what workshop days they would all have. They would have workshop days at the same time so they could maybe share guest speakers. They talked about just different, I thought you might have been on the school board at the time. But I don't know, I was in education a long time. It was
sounds
effective. I remember
but
going to some in-services in Yarmouth. I know that we might have traded programs. I coached track, middle school track with a Yarmouth coach. We combined, resources to do things. So might be time to revisit that idea, or at least get some of the history on why it went away.
Yeah. I had a conversation with the school's budget manager, Scott Poulin, a week or so ago on an entirely different subject, but we did talk about consolidation efforts, and interestingly enough, the one thing that the schools do is joint purchasing of school buses. It's a state-run program, so
Yep.
It's a model that can be translated into municipal, truck purchasing, police purchasing. It's if we drive the conversation that way, but I think we're just scratching the surface right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess if there's no other comments, we'll pause before our workshop and
would you like a motion to present this to the?
I think it's already on to set a public hearing date, or do we need a motion? No, we're good.
The Finance Committee has to recommend
Oh,
the passage of
Sure.
the. I would
Andrew, I think
I
you're
would
on.
move that the the Finance Committee forward the approved budget to the full council.
I'll second.
all those in favor? Unanimous. Great. We will pause until our town engineer workshop at 6 PM. Very well. Thank you, everyone.
Good to go? All right.
Hot to go.
All right.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the second half of our workshop. We are now going to hear a presentation of the town engineer reference Greeley Road improvements. You'd introduce yourself and to the public and.
Yep. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Doug Reynolds from Goral Palmer. Next week it'll be LJB Inc. Engineering because we were recently purchased, but doesn't change me any. So I'm the town engineer. Been working with Chris and Bill and then Matt for the past 25 or so years. Here to talk to you tonight about what we've been looking at so far on Greeley Road. So again, we've been looking at this 3.2 mile stretch of Greeley Road from Main Street to Middle Road, trying to make it safer for pedestrians and bicyclists, improve the condition of the roadway vehicles. You've seen a version of this. I believe Chris presented it to you. Do I get the mouse? Or I need the laser? Oh, there's the mouse. Again, starting up here at Main Street, we've got the section of the sidewalk between Main Street and Valhalla that we looked at and priced. It's about $200,000. We looked at the section of Greeley Road from, again, just above the culvert at Valhalla down to Twin Brook Recreation. The previous version of this plan had sidewalks on that. Chris and I talked about it, and we pulled the sidewalk number off. Again, $835,000 for shoulders and just individual patch areas of box cutting where we're fixing some really bad areas, and we'll get back into that a little bit more. Then we also looked at the remainder down the Middle Road, putting on the shoulders and some patch areas, and that was about $940,000. And then we got the whole road looking at drag shim and overlaying, which is the base bit of the project, which comes in at about 1.2. But again, that'll be variable based on when it actually happens due to the asphalt prices. Again, I'll start closest to Main Street. Again, just a little bit closer detail. We're going to be adding drainage. I know there was a question about drainage and water flow onto the road. So we've got a number of catch basins and field inlets behind the behind the sidewalks. And we got sidewalk and curb, and then a piping system to get it down to the culvert. Like that. Just quickly, I know this is engineering speak, but again, we'll be adding a little bit of pavement up against the new sidewalk, concrete curb, sidewalk, and then fit that in. That again, as I just mentioned, about just under $200,000. So again, we've been looking at this section of Greeley Road for quite a while now. We've had a number of people go out there, look at good areas, bad areas. There's, as you can see over here, there's some pretty deep rutting, lots of alligatoring of the pavement. But this doesn't happen in a lot of areas. So in the past, we've had incredible success with fixing really bad areas and drag shimming and overlaying the complete site. So when we talk about drag shimming, the screed on the paver fills in those ruts. Again, not a rut like this, because that's likely 2.5 inches. That's why you're fixing that area. But the regular wheel ruts that you can kind of see when you're driving along, it drags it, fills in those ruts. So, and again, once we pick the areas that need to be fully box cutted and dug out, we'll put a binder pavement on that. We'll do the drag shim after that's done. So again, we drag shim the whole road, drag shim the areas that are reconstructed in the box cut, and we'd actually wait a year before we put the surface on to see if any of those areas, these bad areas, come up through the surface pavement or the drag shim pavement. So again, that's where I'm getting at. I've got a little bit more information. You know, particular areas. This is looking up the hill. You know, just after Windlebrook, I guess that's what the name of it is, down by Valhalla. But again, this orange area is the area of the full box cut, and you can see why. And you know, it's just needs to be repaired. Something's happened to the sub base, so we're going to repair that area, and then we're going to have the shoulder over here. So that's going to help with the drainage out of the subgrade. So again, these bad areas are what we typically try to hit. Another similar area, that's Farms Edge Road. I'm not sure exactly where that is, but so again, same situation, same type of thing. So again, we've the base number, 15,500 feet of drag shim. And then we got those bunch of particular box cut areas that we're going to be fixing. We figured out that'd be about 1.2 for the whole road, or 1.19 or 119 for the whole road. You can see this number right here, 600 square feet of box cut is basically one lane times 50 feet. So every 50 feet, one lane is $8,500. So again, if we go every 50 feet, both lanes, it's $19,000. Divide 15,000 by 50, and you're talking $10 million to box cut the whole thing. That's just really rough on my head. So again, we've got with the areas that we've looked at for box cutting, we're somewhere around 80,000. So again, there's a multiple, of 10 of the 600 square feet. Box cuts from Valhalla to Twin Brook. Again, that's the square footage. Those are the areas that we're fixing, we're digging out. We're putting binder pavement on and then drag shimming across it. Again, just to give you the engineering stuff, again, once we do the drag shim, we're going to rebuild these shoulders, make the shoulders widen. We're going to have 2.5 feet of extra shoulder, 1 feet of gravel shoulder. Again, increasing that safety, providing that separation between pedestrians and bicyclists. Again, right now, it's about nothing. If you go back to those pictures that I had, the fog line, the painted white line on the edge is basically almost, I'm sure the painter paints grass sometimes when he does that. So again, widening these shoulders 2.5 feet on both sides, that's part of that base bid cost that's included in the numbers that we provided. Again, I'm sorry, the base bid was the paving, the drag shimming over the 1 and a 1A, or 1A is the Greeley Road to Twin Brooks, and then 1B is the Greeley Road to Middle Road. Again, that's the sidewalks, 1.1775. Again, just a slide just saying, again, we're improving the pedestrian safety, widening the shoulders, improve the edge support for the existing pavement structure, reduce the potential for pavement edge breakdown by having the gravel shoulder, and again, enhanced driver recovery area, overall roadway safety. Again, that's what we've looked at. This is the total number if you look at the sidewalk between Valhalla and Main Street, 1.94, the shim and pave, 1.2, the shoulders, 8 and 9, and then we just kept a contingency in there. We're just about $3.5 million for that. So that's what we've looked at. That's where we're at. To get these out on the street, we'd probably need to clean up a little bit. We don't have as much detail on the middle road to Twin Brooks section. We'd have to clean those up. But again, the upper section, those are pretty much ready for bid if we wanted to go there. So again, I know that talking to Chris and Matt, it'd be again if the council chooses, we typically like to put it out in the fall. We could have plenty of time to put plans together for the fall, and then figure out when they're going to do it. Maybe 2027, maybe next year, or the following year. So again, I'm here. This is a discussion here for tons of questions. Anything you got?
Bob?
I'd like to see a number to take the sidewalk down to Twin Brook.
We had that in previously.
Yeah, we had that in at about 500, close to 600,000.
Additional $600,000.
Yeah, from Valhalla Road to Twin Brooks.
Yep.
And we took it out only because I was concerned about the usage. You know, what was the value of that going to be? And we needed to make some cuts. We didn't want this to be a $5 million job. And we're not sure how much usage from Valhalla to Twin Brooks, a sidewalk on Greeley where we get, and most of the houses are in North Yarmouth, so.
But I'm
decided to
thinking
take
of two different scenarios. There's the completion of the senior housing project there.
Ocean View?
Yes, and there's 100 homes in there, and you start looking at that and the people that walk there, and then what you're doing is connecting a loop down, if you take it down to Twin Brook, and I believe it would be heavily used.
The reason why we didn't is because Ocean View has a vast sidewalk network inside the facility, as well as a woods trail that goes through and borders up Valhalla. So a lot of that is contained within their neighborhoods, and we kind of felt that that's where most of the walking for that neighborhood would be.
It is a public right-of-way through there, and there's public trails in there too.
Correct. I just didn't know what the benefit would be at this project. I agree with you that there is a benefit for sidewalks, but when we're trying to make this project a little bit more cost-effective, we started taking things out.
Jeff?
Yeah, so Doug, could you go back to the map of Greeley Road? I got a couple questions for you. So where do you deem the pavement able to just do a shim and overlay? What sections do we don't have to do any base improvements or any drainage improvements?
Again, I've got them on another plan.
Okay.
They're so small and spotty. I can pull that up if you'd like to see what we're looking at.
I'd like to see it.
Yep, that's absolutely fine.
And the reason I'm asking this question, honestly, is I don't want to put good money after bad, and I just want to make sure whatever we do, it's a long-term solution. I don't know if you were involved in Blanchard Road, but when the town did Blanchard Road in 2002, like, we did it right, and the results, prove it. We haven't touched it since 2002, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I did Blanchard Road from Skillen down to Bruce Hill Road. I did Range Road, and again, those, when we looked at them, they were a lot worse.
Yeah.
Range, that was definitely needed to be fixed. Blanchard, for that stretch, we took a lot of the curse out of the sight distance looking down from the what do you call it, the fairgrounds. So again, it's I've been involved with them. See how this works. Where am I? Okay. Come on. See if they show up. No, they don't show up, so they're not there. I apologize for that. They,
Okay.
we had them on there. Oh, maybe that was just the overall. Maybe they show up better. Dowdy Road, there we go.
I mean, I can imagine from Valhalla to Main Street, that's probably an area where we
But-
can,
Valhalla to Main Street, it's all good.
yeah,
Um,
that was part of the 93 reconstruction.
yeah. They got turned off on this set that I've got. But again, if you go back to the PowerPoint, you know, there was, again, there was box cuts from Valhalla to Twin Brook. There was 2,750 square feet of it. So again, it's not a significant amount that we had to fix.
Have we done test borings or anything?
We have not yet. That's part of, you know, the next steps.
Okay.
So again, we've had a number of people walking up and down the street and seeing, you know, at the bad times of year, what the most squishy, that's an engineering term, areas of the road were. And
What were those, Doug?
what's that?
What were they? The most squishy areas?
What do you mean? What you mean? What?
What you find for most squishy areas?
I mean, again, that photo here, where you can see the air underneath that smart level there. You know, there's multiple areas throughout that are similar to that situation. So, and like I said, that plan set that I have, I must have grabbed the wrong one, but which had the areas. But again, it's again areas like that.
Because you go down by Eads Road and, you know, there's something going on with the drainage there where that will flood Greeley Road during the winter.
My fault.
Yeah.
My fault.
Yeah, and again, we've been down there, and we need to look more at the from Twin Brooks down to Middle Road.
Yeah.
So again, that we definitely need to, because again, that part of the scope just came up in the last few times that Chris has been talking with you guys.
I mean, are there any areas that like we could do full depth reclamation of cement stabilization at all? Or?
To me, that is only gonna ruin your road. You put that machine on there, and it digs it up. It's gonna, you know, just any areas that don't need it are gonna get ruined by the machine. You know, again, we looked at, you know, that's full depth. We looked at it once, Lawn and Maple. We did it down over there. Oops, sorry. We did it down over there. You just ended up with extra stuff, extra material, fluffs up the material, then you end up having to take the material away. With the drag shim and overlay, or you're just dragging it over it. Again, we take away the box cut areas, but the full depth reclaim or the grinding and shimming, the grinder machine, again, that's the one that's gonna take out the rest of your road. because
Yeah,
of
but
the
when you
weight.
inject the cement stabilization in there, you stabilize the whole base and it adds solidity, doesn't it?
It does, but it's not cost effective. It's, you know, that's gonna get us, again, I don't have the numbers, but it's a lot more than the fixes that we've been doing that have been successful in the past 25 years throughout the town on all the other roads. Again, Orchard Road is a great example of drag shim and overlay. We drag shimmed and overlaid that probably 12 to 15 years ago. It still looks great. A lot of the neighborhoods, Upper Blanchard Road with the drag shims and overlays, again, those are pretty solid still too. And again, our company does the pavement evaluations for the town and makes recommendations for, you know, which roads need to be fixed and such. And again,
So if we move forward and you start doing some test boring, where do you think you're gonna bore and how many different places, and what do you think you'll get for data?
Again, we'd have to kind of evaluate it, see how many we think we really need to have. We'd likely go close to some of the bad areas on either side to see what it is. We know that it's bad in the areas, and then we'd look at some good areas to see what the good areas are. Again, this is obviously a road that's been there for a long time. You know, we don't know what was originally put in there for gravels.
Yeah.
So, yes. Would we love to box cut the whole thing? Yes. And then again, having a price for additional box cut areas is how we've done it on a number of projects. Long Meadow, we had a price to do additional box cut because we knew that the road was bad.
Yep.
As the contractor gets in there, we had to move it up. We had to expand the full box cut area, and we had that price from the contractor to expand that area.
Are you referring to Long Meadow off of 88?
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a lot more truck traffic on this road than there is on Long Meadow. So, I mean, does that play into the whole equation at all, or?
Again, putting it out there for a year before we do the surface, that's what helps that. Again, if we're not, the defined ends of these are beyond where the bad area is.
Yep.
If you think we need to go further, we'll go a little further. And it's typically something that, again, we work with a contractor with, and again, we have that unit price. We know how much there is in the contingency, how much we can actually box cut. I know, again, we can't remember which project it was, but we had Grover say, hey, this really needs to be box cut further up, and we did that. We did just that, and we agreed with them.
Andrew?
So I'd just like to sort of echo Bob's comments about looking at the sidewalk, and I understand, Chris, the desire to rein costs in and not let it explode. But have we looked at any, federal grants that could help cover some or all of adding a sidewalk in? Looks like there's potentially one from the DOT, federal DOT deadlines, the end of next month. So I'm not sure we'd have enough data and all to, get that in. But ways that we could have a sidewalk that then would create, I think it's like roughly a 6-mile loop from Main Street to Twin Brook on either side, whether it's Tuttle or Greeley Road. And I think that would get use. I don't know if it would bring in, it's not going to bring in the, $500,000, $600,000 in extra revenue, but I'd like to look at alternative ways to fund that as opposed to, it coming from just from us. If we can get, grants, state, federal level, that would be something I think we should look into.
All right, we've looked at the state level. In fact, we've got a grant application in for the short section of sidewalk from Maine to Valhalla for the Safe Passage to School, because it does classify for that loop from Main Street. I have not looked at federal money, but I will for the additional sidewalk on Greeley Road.
Can I ask a question, Mike? If we do put in sidewalks, if that's something we choose to pursue, how does that impact, I just don't know a lot about roads, how does that impact like the edge there, right? Like does it decrease the wear and tear because there's now kind of like a bumper and something else like holding it in place, or is it still the same lifespan?
Again, it should be the same. Again, we'd end up having, we'd keep a shoulder,
Yep.
maybe narrow the shoulder instead of 2.5, we might be 1.5.
Yep.
And then we'd start the sidewalk here and pull it further over. I knew this engineering section would be important. So again, we'd have a little bit more gravels under here because of the sidewalk. But again, it wouldn't increase any wear and tear. We'd build the sidewalk to standard so that the sidewalk plow could go on it. shouldn't have any effect on that.
Okay. And what is the, like, as far as like sidewalk repair goes, like, is the expectancy, like, what is the life expectancy on a sidewalk? Like, are we anticipating every 10 years we're doing some sort of work on it, or how, what's the cycle of that?
Let's go back to this guy. So again, we've been throughout town, we've been using the concrete slip form curb.
Yeah.
If you go out back here in the neighborhood, Wyman Way and that, has that been there 10 years now? I mean, that's been there for that amount of time. I don't think we've done very much maintenance on it at all.
Okay. So, 20 years?
That's pavement life expectancy.
Okay.
If if that would be the same for the paved sidewalks.
Okay.
The curbing, again, you can fix the concrete curb with some patches here and there, which is actually helpful, because again, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's a 20-year life expectancy, similar to the roads.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, while we're talking about sidewalks, I mean, I know one of the areas that Councilor Filson brought up last meeting was the sight line on Greeley Road coming up the hill after Valhalla Road, and looking at sight line improvements there. But, thinking about the sidewalk in addition to, Andrew, I hear you. I think a sidewalk would be great. And I guess my question is, from an engineering standpoint, let's just say we can't come up with all the money to do it now. Could we, could we build that 4 feet of gravel out past where you were gonna stop, and put your ditch over where it would be with the sidewalk, and then if we have to come back to it, 5 years down the road and put the slip forming in and the rest of the gravel, could you do that, or?
The lion's share of the price is that earthwork.
Yep.
The surface pavement, yes, the curb is, it's $25 a foot.
Yep.
You're gonna pay for most of it. At that point, you just put the sidewalk in.
Okay.
But you make a good point. We could extend the sidewalk from Valhalla Road up to Brookside Drive,
Up the hill.
up the hill.
Yep.
That would take pedestrians and
Yeah,
carriages and out of the roadway
right.
on that.
On the
that
steep
hill.
part of the hill.
So that's something that we could take a look at as well.
I mean, that'd be one of the more expensive places too, just because working that hill, you're probably gonna have to do
Yeah,
some sort of retaining wall
the
or
drop
something.
off on that side is gonna be, we're gonna be working to catch up to it.
Yeah.
Can certainly look at it, though.
But, yeah, it's absolutely something to look at.
The prices, how much is the recent change in oil prices going to change these prices?
We got a price from Glidden. They gave us a price. We bumped it up. So again, 2 years from now. Great question.
You're
Let me
saying
know.
that the earthwork is the majority, and that's sort of, I guess, the real question is, where is the cost in this? Is it getting the machines out there to do the work, or is it
No, it's
the
base.
asphalt?
It's the asphalt. They're highly based on the asphalt numbers.
Okay.
And again, most projects that we do in town here, we have what's called an escalator. And if the price goes up in the time period between bid and actually put down, we have to pay the extra in the payment price. Conversely, we get a reduction if it goes down. So, it's that playing the lottery. We give them the escalation, we might get it back, we might have to pay more.
All right.
This is not a public hearing, but if there's anybody in the public that would like to ask Doug a question, go up and introduce yourself or where you're from, and go ahead and ask Doug the question.
Thank you. Very interesting presentation. Jim Donahue from Hedgerow. So I'm not immediately affected by this, but that's our main route, sort of in and out of town other than Main Street. My question about extending the sidewalk, you've got to cross the culvert, and then you're going up against some fairly steep banking, which makes it sound like it's going to be quite a bit more expensive than putting the sidewalk down to Greeley Road, to the Valhalla Road, I mean, as opposed to putting it all the way up to Brookside. I could be wrong, but I think it's a lot more site prep that's going to be required to get across the culvert, because you have to fix the culvert, and then you're going to have to move a fair amount of earth to be able to get a sidewalk by reasonable width. So, just a thought.
Thank you. Doug?
And actually, it was specifically what we said, again, that the drop-off on that side, it would be a more expensive section of there, but again, it's definitely something we can look at in price.
Andrew?
Does this, the price that you're in, the numbers that you had out there include the culvert replacement? Because we're looking at replacing that culvert right next to Valhalla Road, and we pushed that back a year or so.
Right, we pulled that out of here too, because it was an $800,000 expenditure. So we kind of pulled that out to delay that. The culvert that there has not failed. We went after that because we had $200,000 in grant money. The bid for that culvert, when it came in way higher than it was supposed to, so we had to forego the grant money and cancel that project. It's still a viable culvert. It's been worked on over the past few years. Eventually, it need to be replaced, but for this project, we were looking at just widening that shoulder in that area and fixing the guardrail and moving forward.
So is that culvert in a condition where it's going to last another 20 years? I mean, if we do this, we put the pavement down, in theory, we won't be touching it again for 20 years if asphalt has a lifespan of 20 years. You know, I don't want to be spending all this money to put this down and then in 5 years rip it up for that culvert.
For that area, and Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, it would really just be sacrificing pavement. We'd probably replace the guardrail, make the shoulder wider in that area. There's some good gravel. It's already got a shoulder there now. We'd pave that in, and then once we got funding to replace that guardrail, we'd have to sacrifice the pavement. So,
Bob?
You don't have to widen the road. You can put two pieces of steel across and do a suspension bridge, if you will, or something like that. I think there's other ways of engineering this that would be more cost effective.
For the culvert? Are you saying for the culvert?
Instead of widening and putting a bunch of fill down where the stream is there to get a sidewalk
Oh,
across.
yeah, we just have head walls or whatever, you know, again, again, I haven't looked specifically at that spot. It's actually it's wider. There's wider shoulder, if I remember right. So there's space to do stuff there before we get to the culvert. So it wouldn't be, I believe there's area on that side of the, you know, where the guardrail is and et cetera.
Yeah.
It's not, again, that doesn't drop right off there, does it?
no, it doesn't drop right off. The
Yeah.
biggest expense for that project was the forced sewer main goes through there. We were going to have to disconnect the forced main, the sewer, raise the sewer. There's a major water line in there. We were going to have to bring the water line up. There was a lot of variables that weren't accounted for when that was designed.
Where is the water line, Chris? Where does the water run from Main Street down Greeley up? Does it at all, or,
Yeah, it goes up into the Brookside Drive area
and it stops there?
yeah. But the force main sewer is coming from a pump station on Brookside Drive. It's a large sewer line.
And cuts across to where?
Goes up Valhalla Road and continues up the old railroad trestle.
Gotcha. Any more questions of Doug?
I guess what are next steps, right? We have this discussion, and then do we need to vote on this, or what is the next kind of like actionable, where does this go from here?
I mean, I'd like to see us get engineering plans that, you know, finish the plans, so to say, that we can put this out to bid and, you know, find out the expense for that with test boring and and so forth. I'm not saying we need to bid it this year, but it's like I just remember 2009 when there was a whole bunch of federal stimulus money. If you didn't have plans that were ready to go and ready to bid, that's why they did a lot of paving back then. You know, you had nothing. So if we have plans on the shelf, we're in a better position to bid the stuff.
Helene, how much flexibility do we have in funding this from TIF, or, obviously if we get grants, that'd be fantastic, but, can we use any TIF
No,
for this?
no, there isn't, this is not anywhere near, a TIF district. But you have, if we're looking at trying to, if you're looking at it to bring on debt without disrupting the current budget for the general fund, we do have a 2010, when we did Route 88, that comes off in the first half of the year of 2030. So then it would be almost like cost neutral to the general fund to bring on debt on the second half, which would be bonding in the spring of 2030.
I would think the first thing we'd do is to agree on a scope of work, what it might be, 'cause I'd be in favor of bringing the sidewalk down to Twin Brooks. So and then I think I would want to look at financing options as a, model that before we moved ahead.
I struggle with the sidewalks.
Yeah, I'm willing to have that discussion, though.
Yeah, I love sidewalks. I think they're great. I think it's tough because I don't think anyone has a good handle on what the traffic volume is or potential traffic volume, and it's hard to get a gauge on that number unless you have a sidewalk there, unless you have thoughts, Chris, on what's the use of, what is a threshold at which we would say, this is a good investment? Is this a good investment for every citizen of the town?
If you look at our demographics, and our population increase in the last 10 years, and you project that out for another 10 years, and you say, I think there's a lot more feeling of safety and security going down Tuttle Road than there is on Greeley Road, and if I'm looking at a project of reconstruction that's Greeley Road, to my way of thinking, I would want to include that sidewalk in as part of the whole project, and so at least I think it's worthy of the discussion point and getting down to what are projections, what are cost per mile, cost per yard.
Yeah.
Bob, what is your, why Twin Brooks?
It completes a loop. It allows people to walk down there if they want to go down to a baseball game, if they want to go down and hike across Twin Brooks, to the facilities over there, the soccer fields, or if people are just out exercising or jogging, it's a safe loop. You can go down Greeley Road, across, up Tuttle Road, across Main Street. I think it's a natural summation of a loop.
And you could do that at Ocean View too?
Who?
If you brought it down to Ocean View, you could do it there?
Yes, you could, sure. That's why I say Ocean View, there's 100 homes in there. But I think if we're looking at the whole Greeley Road, I think it's logical to me to take it down to Twin Brook.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, Doug, I was just thinking about the culvert on Greeley Road after Valhalla, before the hill. Is that something we could line and avoid digging up and replacement, or is it not an option to line that culvert?
I would have to say, I honestly do not know. I haven't
Okay.
dealt with the design of that culvert at all.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm just thinking at this point.
Lining always is an option. It's just cost.
Right. I'd really just like to take, if we're gonna go through all this, I'd like to be done with the road and not have to come back to that culvert. So if we can line it for less than replacement, to me, that makes sense.
Are there any more questions from the council of Doug?
No.
Seeing none, we'll close the workshop, take a break, and then we'll be back at 7 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Call the,
Cumberland Town Council.
hold on a second, Bob. The Monday, April 27th, 2026 Town Council meeting to order. The first item is the approval of minutes from April 13th.
I'll give you a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor? Mr. Manager. Chris?
He's not here. The only thing I really have on manager's report is Bob Story's here tonight from the Cemetery Association. He puts a lot of hard work into the Cemetery Association. It's kind of his baby, and he's the matriarch, and he's here to bring you folks up to speed tonight.
Great. Welcome, Mr. Story. Good to see you, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, as he said, I'm Bob Story, Cemetery Association, and our bylaws require me to speak to you people once a year. I think it's been 3 years, 4 years maybe, so it's been a while. But first I'll talk about briefly what we've done the last year and how we got to that point. Then I wanted to briefly go over 25 years of progress since, essentially since Bill Shane became manager is when things took off for us. Prior to Bill Shane, the last manager, he had a little heartache with the association, which probably Bob knows some of the stories, but other than that, no need to discuss it a whole lot. But when Bill came, he and the council gave us a lot of help and went into the cemeteries, cleaned up a lot of safety issues, unsafe trees, brought us into compliance on veteran flag holders, that type of thing. All veterans are supposed to have a flag holder and a flag. Bill made sure that happened. So Bill did a lot for us, and over the years, he finally got us up to the funding where we became self-sustainable, which took a long time. But now I don't ask for a heck of a lot anymore. I don't have to. But so this past year, we did quite a bit. We planted some nice maple trees in Forside, some maple trees up in Methodist Cemetery, and we planted some flowering dogwoods that I hope are ready for Memorial Day in the front of Moss Side. And we made some fence repairs over in the Forside. We did a lot of tree pruning around the perimeter in Moss Side, a little bit in Forside. So we made a lot of accomplishments. We operate on we spend about $50,000 to $55,000 a year in our budget. We came in pretty close to budget. We try not to go over, and we try not to go under by a heck of a lot either. So that pretty well got us to where we up to for last year. Burials and sales, we do about 20 burials a year. We do about 20 sales a year. Usually sales aren't for current burials. Usually the burials are going into existing lots, and people are buying for future lots. But the price is $600 per space, and that hasn't changed since 2014. We've had no real reason to raise rates. We're kind of a well-oiled machine, I think. We do okay. The state of Maine requires us to put half of the lot sales into a perpetual care account. And there's certain things we can do with these dollars once they're in perpetual care. We have a spending policy that lets us take 3% of the 3-year average out of perpetual care and roll it into operating. Then the initial sales we put in operating, and then we put half of that money, roll it into perpetual care. So perpetual care fund is doing well. It's well managed. It's we're fairly, not too aggressive, but fairly aggressive. And as of tonight, the fund balance is back to the February 26th level. So since the thing in in Iran. We haven't done poorly yet. You know, we haven't gone backwards. It went backwards for a while, but we're back up to February 26th, which was the high for the year. And that was, and at that point, we had about $19,000 in growth from January 1 to February 26th. So we're seeing, we still have about $19,000 growth in perpetual care for the year, so that's impressive. I'd like to briefly talk about what we've accomplished in the last 25 years, and like I said, that was since Bill Shane. Where's my mouse? There it is. Okay, I get a lot of support here from the town office. I use Braden a lot. If the IT guy, if my laptop breaks down, I'm dead in the water, can't do a thing. I prepare the deeds right at home, notify Jen Doughton, let her know the deed's ready to go. She prints the deed, calls the customer, and the customer comes in, picks up the deed. They pay her. She takes the money down to your treasurer. Your treasurer, 3-4 times a year, will send us send our treasurer the money. Then she deposits it, and then I get a lot of help from Whitney, of course, with this web page. It's very impressive, and get a lot of help from Christina doing maps, that type of thing. So I do rely heavily on the town people. I'll tell you right now, I'm concerned about the future. I'm 79 years old, and I've asked if anybody on the board would like to replace me, and nobody hears me. You know, so nobody's ready. I've talked to Matt a lot about the future of the association, and there's a good chance that you people may have to take it over someday, and I hope not. Like I said, we run pretty efficiently. We pay Stilke probably around $40,000 a year out of the 50-something we spend. Then we have to spend money on tax preparation. We have to spend money on these things. We have to spend money on the flags. We have a lot of, in the offices, we get a small stipend as well. So hopefully somebody will come forward, maybe see us tonight and say, geez, I'd like that job. You know, I could use the $1,000 a year. And so anyhow, I'd like to show you what Whitney has done here. She's created this web page. We have, the town has 6 cemeteries, Congregational, Ferris, Foreside, Methodist, Mosside, and Universalist. All pretty nicely maintained. Congregational, last burial was 1965. We no longer do burials in Congregational, but the other 5, there's open, you know, there's spaces available for sale still. There's a lot of family spaces. We did our first burial in Universalist this past year that I've ever known to be done. It was,
Wow.
You'll all remember Brian Wilson. Brian went into Universalist. So let me take you over to the Foreside Cemetery. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to skip around a tiny bit here. You'll see on here, first thing, there's the occupants of the Foreside. This is all generated on our software, our Ponham software system, cemetery management system. You'll see, you can scroll down, all alphabetical, you'll see all the occupants of the cemetery here. Another thing, you'll see all the veterans who are buried in Foreside are here. And the information is pretty complete. There's a little missing data, but if anyone ever gives it to me, I can easily enter it into the system. Map of Forsyth. I was just telling Mike Eads, let me blow this up a little. I was just telling Mike that anyone who's ever heard of a Potter's Field, Forsyth had a Potter's Field. It was, when I mapped the cemetery, I gave it 10 spaces. We have no idea if there's 10, if there's 50, or if there's anybody in it or not. It'd be an interesting project for somebody with a ground penetrating radar, maybe go in and look and see if there are anybody in this Potter's Field. But I prepared this map from a map that a town survey had done in about 1934, and so I've saved all of these maps from 1934, 1935, 1937. So if anyone ever needs those maps, they're at my disposal. Okay, another thing I put out this year I've never done before. These are lots that have been sold, but not occupied. Some of them are quite current, and some of them might go back 150 or 200 years. If anybody in town sees that their great-great-grandfather or whatever has owned a space in one of the cemeteries, they can contact me, and there's a mechanism to claim these. It's affidavit of heirs. If you're not an heir, you're out of luck. But if you're an heir, possibly you can reclaim one of these, and you have to do an affidavit of heirs for me, and say I've contacted all these people. They have no objection to me taking it. And then for $25 per space, I'll prepare them a new deed. Okay. Back to the, okay. I made a list of all available spaces, and again, this is all generated by the Ponham software system. And there's the spaces that are currently available in Forsyth for sale. And there's actually maybe a few hundred more that I've made not for sale, that when these are gone, we can make those available for sale as well. And then we have another probably couple acres of not yet mapped in the woods that someday could be mapped. So I always tell people we have enough land between Moss Side, Forsyth, and the Methodist for 400 or 500 years. So sometimes I don't try to find any more land. We're in pretty good shape. Okay, this is what really sold me on the. This is what really sold me on. Okay, this is what really sold me on buying the Ponham software system. When I became president, one of the first things I wanted to do was to computerize the system and map the system. And I never knew. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know where to find it. The mapping, I learned at Maine Cemetery Association meeting one year of Bob Perry on Topographics in New Hampshire. And he did some nice mapping. So I got a hold of Bob, and I used to go to New Hampshire, and we did a lot of mapping together. And then the other thing, the Ponham software system, which I'm very impressed with, I had no idea where to shop for that either. And Deb Grover showed up at the Maine Cemetery Association meeting, and North Yarmouth had bought Ponham. So she did a little show and tell, and it was a real eureka moment, you know. And so we bought Ponham as well. So we had the mapping done. I had mapping done prior to buying Ponham, then I'd started a Excel spreadsheet with all the spaces available, or all the spaces in a cemetery, and which came in very handy. It was what Ponham uses. They use Excel to get the data. Jeepers. Okay, so anyhow, I have all these different statuses for, I have available for sale, I have occupied, sold, not for sale at this time, obstructed, unknown status with a possible burial in it. Then the gold color is our veterans. And so what I want to show you is why I really bought this program. Bottom one, Foresight status map. Here we are. I can blow it up a tiny bit. There's all your statuses, there's all your spaces with the status on it. And what I'm hoping is someday when I get replaced, that somebody has the skill level to go in and where you can go as a user on the web page, you can go in and click on a space and connect it to the record. I can do that on Ponham. I can go right down. I can make my map on Ponham. I can map my. I can go right down. And so if you wanted to buy a space in Foresight, for example. If you wanted to buy one of these spaces, available spaces are in green. I can go right on and I can tell you who your neighbor is going to be. You can do it now with all the data you have here, but it's kind of clunky to get to it. But what would be nice if you went on this space here and said, gee, I wonder who my neighbor would be, who these people would be. You'd be able to click right on and do it. So that's what we have that's what Whitney's done for us. These reports actually printed from Ponham, our software management system, and then I took them to Whitney, and she created the web page with the information we'd given her off here, and there's a saying I like: when an old man dies, a library burns, and here's your library, you know. So everything I know and everything I've forgotten is right here, and it's either here or on the Ponham system. So there's a lot of information. It's amazing what's on this thumb drive. It's just years and years of data. You name. I could give you. I give you cemetery deeds. I give you cemetery surveys. You ask for it, it's on here. Okay, now let's get out of here and let's look at. I actually got ahead of myself. Whitney, the internet.
Yep. Are you going to your list?
Not the internet. My thumb drive. I mean.
Yep.
Okay. What I've done, there's no special order here. Looking back at the last 25 years, and this is essentially, it might not be exactly 25, it's since Bill Shane came into office. Prior to Bill Shane, nothing was done. We got the grass mowed, that was it. We had to ask our contractor to wait until after July 1st so we could pay him, because we got a little something out of the previous manager on then, but it wasn't much. Whitney, can you blow it up?
Maybe.
Can you make it a little bigger?
Yeah, I'm trying to. This is letting me.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
I'm still working on it, but you go ahead.
Okay. I can't find my mouse. Okay. In the last 25 years, roads have been repaired. Roads were rough in the cemeteries, a lot of potholes, that type of thing. Fences have been added or replaced. Unsafe and unsightly trees have been removed, although will always be an area of concern and spending. New trees have been planted in many of the cemeteries. Granite entry signs have been placed at all cemeteries. Actually, the town paid for those out of Bill Shane's manager's fund, whatever he had. Maintenance is contracted out now. Stones have been repaired, cleaned, straightened. Cleaning will be limited going forward as some consider it a destructive practice. The only MOCA, Maine Old Cemetery Association, has somehow become the authority on cleaning stones, and I would not dispute it. And the only way to clean stones with these soft bristle brushes, toothbrushes, plastic putty knives, and D2 solution. So if you're not cleaning with D2, it's considered destructive. So I don't do anything. I don't hire anybody to clean stones anymore. All known veterans' graves have a flag holder and get a new flag prior to Memorial Day and removed after Veterans Day. And these are a compliance issue with the, I guess with the VA. I'm not sure just who makes the rules on it, but I do see every year they have stories on television, people going around sticking flags in the ground. That's not in compliance. Sunken graves and uneven surfaces have been addressed, although it will always be an ongoing issue. Mapping and survey has been completed. Records have been computerized. Deeds are, excuse me, computer generated, and many reports are at our fingertips. Web pages have been added to the town's website. Rules and regulations have been updated. A spending and investment policy put in place. Investment committee was formed. The perpetual care fund is professionally managed, thus we're seeing great returns on investment. Fees were increased and administrative fee was implemented. Fee increases haven't needed to be increased since 2014. The association bought out Sheboygan Island for about $41,000. New bylaws were completed and the association was restructured. The town increased its yearly contribution, which saved the association from collapse. And just before I wrap it up, people give me a lot of credit for this, and I don't deserve all the credit. Bill Shane and the councils deserve a lot of the credit, and Peter McKinney, who was the treasurer at the time he nominated me to become the president. He was behind many of these administrative tasks that you see today. The bylaws we've restructured. Like I think I said, we restructured. We're no longer a members association. We're a self-perpetuating board now. And but what Peter has done, he wrote the investment policy, which I'm sure we'll have that in place for a long, long time. We may be necessary to alter it a little sometime, but I don't see that happening. Okay, any questions?
Bob?
What did you mean when you were bought out? Is that from Sheboygan? Did you just disassociate yourselves from Sheboygan Island?
Yeah, when Sheboygan left the town, there was Sheboygan had a what was called the McCall Fund, and the McCall family had put $10,000 into that McCall Fund. So we gave Sheboygan back his $10,000, and then there was I could be a little messed up on this, but there was some percentage number which was like 7.4% or something. I'm thinking that was a number that the town and Shebig used for, to make everyone whole. And I'm not sure just what it did. I think the town of Cumberland, did the town of Cumberland pay Shebig to leave? Or did Shebig pay Cumberland? Do you remember? There were,
Shebig would have paid Cumberland.
Shebig paid Cumberland?
Yeah, wasn't it back and forth?
But anyhow, there was a,
Depending on what the item was.
Depending what, there's a lot of back and forth
yeah,
there.
so anyhow, there was a percentage number. So we applied that percentage number after we took the 10,000 out for the McCall Fund. We applied that percentage to the remainder of the Perpetual Care Fund and added it to the two items together and wrote Shebig Island a check, and everybody was happy.
The Congregational Cemetery seems to have taken a number of substantial hits this winter, and there's a half a dozen stones that seem to be laying down. Will those get picked back up and straightened out?
Okay, this year's budget, to be honest with you, I'm running out of ideas. So I believe I've budgeted $2,000 for upkeep in Congregational and for stone repairs and some turf restoration. Perhaps we'll put a little loam in behind that wall we had built, the curbing. We're going to spend a little money in Congregational this year, yeah. So Stilkey will make those repairs. And another thing, we're going to dump some money into the woods behind Moss Side. That's heavily traveled, heavily used by the people we own. I forget what you own. I say we, you. You own the cemeteries, we manage them. I think there's 2 acres in behind Moss Side Cemetery still undeveloped, wooded.
All right, yeah.
And we're going in, get rid of the invasives. Matt's going to talk to Chris, and Chris is going to talk to someone else. And we're going in and do some major cleanup in that woods behind Moss Side. And so I mentioned the excess land we have at Forsyth Cemetery. We have that couple acres behind Moss Side, as well as the whole front is for future sales. And outside of the fence at Methodist to the Turnpike side, you own another 100 feet.
Yeah, yeah.
And that goes back like 275 feet or something. So, so those 3 cemeteries have a lot of undeveloped real estate with them right now.
Yeah. Two more questions. Are you aware of any Revolutionary War soldiers that reside in Cumberland cemeteries that predate?
Oh, jeepers,
There's at least one on Forsyth. It looks like there's at least one on Forsyth. I mean, it said RW, so I'm assuming that was Revolutionary War.
Where am I?
Revolutionary.
In the veterans list.
Take me back.
I can.
No, it'd be on your webpage.
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to go, but it's not working.
And then a corollary, a follow-up question is, it's more of a, if we can go on the website and you can tag a dot and find out who's buried there, I wonder if in the future we might be able to pull up somebody's obituary at the same time.
That's for the next leadership. And I hope the answer is yes. I mean, you're at the end of my brain power. So
At the end of his brain power.
I don't really know what can be done, but I would suspect yes. Okay. I have it, or do you have it, Whitney?
You have it now.
I'll take it. Okay. I see one here, Bob. Is that?
Yeah,
Is
there are a
it,
few.
Ozias Blanchard, is it? I see one down here. Edward Wilson. I see one here, looks like an Alexander Merrill. It looks like, and I see another one here. It looks like Amasa Smith. And I believe Amasa was the, if my memory is right, I think he was minister at the church here in the center. That ring a bell? Yeah.
I remember him well.
Yeah. Okay.
Went to school with him.
Yes.
Are we done?
I'm done.
Anybody else from the company, Andrew?
So this might be more for you, Whitney. But when you pull up and try to look for the Cumberland Foreside Cemetery on Google, all knowing Google has it as the Falmouth Foreside Cemetery. So I don't know who would be the one to sort of correct Google's.
I mean, we can always try to
Disinformation.
correct what Google has on there. Whether they correct it or not is a different
Yeah,
story.
it's you know, right to the line and all, but yeah, it shows up as Falmouth Foreside Cemetery.
Does Falmouth also have a Foreside Cemetery?
It looks like it's on our side of the line. You know,
Okay.
if I'm looking at the right thing, you know, if
Yeah.
you got the church, it's to the north, west of the church.
Oh,
Um,
jeepers,
But
Okay. Thank you.
let me go back to my,
Yep, it does. For sure.
back to my thumb drive, Whitney.
Just.
Let's see here, what I want to do. Okay. I'm forgetting exactly where it is, but Dave Buford, who was a town surveyor, he surveyed the cemetery. And up the left-hand side of Cumberland's portion is a stone wall. And if that stone wall were projected foreside right towards the church, towards the foreside, on the Falmouth side, there's a little space that Falmouth owns, and on the and then Cumberland owns the lion's share of that cemetery. And it's funny you mentioned this because a few years ago, findagrave.com had all those people in Falmouth, and I got a hold of the Find a Grave lady, and she moved all of Cumberland's people into Cumberland. So at least if you go on Find a Grave now, you'll find the Cumberland people are in Find a Grave as Cumberland, but and then the Foreside, they're in Falmouth. But most of the cemetery is Cumberland's.
yeah, I think it's just because it's the location says Cumberland Foreside, and then the name is Falmouth Foreside on Google Maps. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of confusing. It does come up. Find a Grave comes up too, and then Falmouth has a Foreside Community Churchyard, different than the one that sits right on the line. So I'll look and see if there's something we can do to make it clearer if people are searching for it.
All right, this is a, this is not an item we're voting on. It was a presentation. Anybody from the public have a question of Bob? We're all good, Bob. I want to thank you for coming in.
You're very welcome. I'll see you again in 3 years. Next year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. The next item on the agenda is public discussion. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to speak? Then we'll go right into legislation and policy. Item 26-035, to hold a public hearing to consider and act on a liquor license renewal for Rachel's on the Green. Mr. Acting Manager.
You have the paperwork in your packets. Everything appears to be in order. It's been reviewed by the town clerk. Staff is recommending approval.
Any questions on this from the council?
No.
this is more of just a curiosity. Looks like the state took the birthdays and just X'd them all out on this application for the people? Is that a new, they just changed the way that they do that?
I think it's just personal
Or just-
information they redacted.
All right.
This is a public hearing. Anybody from the public? Bring it back to the council.
I'm ready to give you a motion.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I move to approve the liquor license renewal for Rachel's on the Green from June 27th, 2026 to June 27th, 2027.
Second?
Second?
No more discussion. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Item, if with the council's approval, I'd like to put these two together. Item 26-036, to hold a public hearing to consider an act on a mass gathering permit for Binny's Media Ultimate Yard Sale to be held on June 13th at the Cumberland Fairground, and also 26-037, to hold a public hearing to consider on a mass gathering permit for Binny Media's Ultimate Yard Sale to be held on September 12th at the fairground.
I'm good with doing it at the same time.
Any discussion on this from the council? Andrew?
Everything looked good to me.
So, Chris, I think I know the answer to this, but the difference in costs for the police, is that a change in our rates based on the union agreement where it goes up from the the June 1 to the September 1?
Correct.
Okay.
Their pay rates change on June 30th.
All right, thank you.
This is a public hearing, and in the public, coming back to the council, any further discussion on these two?
I'm ready to give you a motion.
Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. I move to approve item number 26-036 move to approve the mass gathering permit for Binny's Media Ultimate Yard Sale to be held June 13th at the Cumberland Fairgrounds. I also make a motion to move for number 26-037. I move to approve the mass gathering permit for Bernie's Media Ultimate Yard Sale to be held on September 12th at the Cumberland Fairgrounds.
Is there a second?
I'll give you a second.
Bailey? And a vote from the council. All those in favor of both items? Unanimous. Item 26-038, to appoint members to the Lands and Conservation Commission Forestry Subcommittee. And we have two nominees, Connor O'Brien and Kathleen Rudolph. The Appointments Committee had a chance to interview in person both of the applicants. Asked them a bunch of questions, and we came out of the committee unanimous recommending both people. Is there any discussion, questions on these two appointments? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Robert?
I was on the nominating committee, and I'm always impressed with people that serve this community in most any capacity. There's always a willingness to just do some hard work, and these two came across as more than ready to take on that challenge. So I would move to appoint Connor O'Brien and Kathleen Randolph to the Lands and Conservation Forestry Subcommittee.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And the final item for tonight is to set a public hearing date of May 11th to consider and act on the adoption of the FY 2027 municipal budget. Billy, you want to touch on that? Or?
I mean, I think there's not a lot to say. You know, we had a series of finance committee meetings. I feel like everyone was given a lot of opportunity from the public and from the council to kind of weigh in on where we're at. We're at 3% as it stands right now, with some pending items for potential additional cost savings potentially down the line, which we won't have prior to this vote. But I feel good about where we're at, and I think Helene and Chris and Matt did an incredible job getting us there. So that's all.
All right, is there any further discussion on setting the date from the council? Anything from the public? Back to the council. Do we have a motion?
I'll give you a motion.
Go ahead, Bailey.
I move to set a public hearing date of May 11th to consider and act on the adoption of the FY 2027 municipal budget.
Second.
Second. Jeff, thank you. All those in favor? Unanimous. New business? I'll start down with Andrew.
Just two things. Once again, if you're able to shut your outdoor lights off at night, our winged friends would appreciate it so they can make their way to their breeding grounds and all that. And also it helps not attract brown-tail moths if you need another reason to shut out outdoor lights off. And then the LCC is meeting next week on Wednesday on the 6th at 7 o'clock in council chambers. That's it.
Bailey?
We had a library committee meeting on April 22nd. Discussed some strategic plan ideas for 2027. I can't believe it's already 2026. Final finance meeting was today. As a reminder, if you'd like to weigh in or share any opinions, we will be holding a public hearing on May 11th, and that's all that I have.
Great. Thank you, Bailey. Councilor Vale?
We had a comprehensive plan meeting last week, touched on a number of topics, but the one that really jumped out to me was when we talked about our agricultural lands and how they play an integral part of the community. And anyways, the thing that I came away from was that, people move to the town for, any number of different reasons, whether it's the home of their dreams or the school or sometimes it's what they can afford, and that's kind of a little bit more questionable today than it was when I was buying my first home. But the thing that I seem to hear, is that rural character, and that rural character is in the eye of the beholder to a large degree. If you come from New York City or an urban area, this is really a rural-looking community. If you come from Aroostook County, maybe not so much. But still, it's part of the character of what people like about this. And you drive down Blanchard Road, Greeley Road, or Tuttle Road, and or across Wind Road, and you look at those fields, and I think most of us look at them and say, "Wow, this is pretty nice," and that view costs, and it's a view that is our future, and how we take our comprehensive plan and we say, what are the things that we value in this community, and what are the things that we want to try to maintain, and that maintenance of that rural character is not without cost. And part of the consideration of the comp plan was to know, all right, does everybody have a plan? Knowing a lot of those landowners, I think they do have a plan for what the future of their land looks like. And then there's probably that certain, maybe half the rest of them that they don't, that maybe they hope that somebody will inherit, or that they'll sell it when the time arises because they need it for their retirement or for nursing care or whatever. But again, it's the thing that really strikes home time and time again about living in this community is that maintenance of that rural character, and I think that sometimes we don't really appreciate. We ought to have a we ought to have a party for all those landowners and bring them in and cook a big cake and celebrate it, because it is it's valued. That's all I have.
Thanks, Bob. Jeff?
All right. $20 for the food pantry. And then May 15th, Cumberland Historical Society scavenger hunt. There's still room for a few more teams. If you want to come and check it out, I'll be there. It's a pretty good time. It's kind of fun. And you learn a little bit about Cumberland if you didn't already know it. On a more serious note, I think we had a good presentation tonight on Greeley Road. I'd like to kind of put an agenda item on for the next agenda where we can give Chris some direction in terms of where do we want to go next. And I mean, my my thought is, and I've been thinking about this since Doug's presentation, is we look at engineering the sidewalk, we look at can we line the culvert and do the engineering plan in that way, and then when we get and after they do the soil samples, we find out what the true cost is. If we need to look at subtracting a sidewalk from the plan and bid it that way, we can. If we need to look at subtracting a culvert, we can. But to me, it seems like the culvert part, we got to figure that out. I don't like the idea of digging it back up 5 years later. And if lining's an option opposed to replacement, that should be less. But I'd like to put it on the agenda so we can give Chris some formal direction. And I don't think it's fair to do it tonight with 2 people missing on such a large decision. But I'd like to do that. So.
Chris, do you have anything you want to add?
No, sir, I have nothing.
Whitney? All right, I've got nothing. Real quick condolences to the family of Wright Fates. Wright was a longtime teacher at Greeley Junior High, a science teacher, and he passed away. Cumberland resident. Condolences to his family. Other than that, I have nothing else. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll give you a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Second. Andrew? All those in favor? Adjourn. Thanks, folks.